Good morning. Do you all have your coffee ready? Today, do you see my little assistant over here, Ellie Mae? Today, we are going to talk about freezing and shipping cookies because I received a question about that the other day, and I thought, hey, if one person wants to know, then probably more people want to know. My name is Lauren. I'm the cheerful baker. And I have been making cookies for about 7 years. And freezing cookies saves so much time. And I have shipped cookies to friends. So I don't know everything about these subjects, but I'm just going to share with you what I know. And if you all have questions, feel free to ask them. But as we know, it's getting ready to be very busy, right? And so one way that you can save yourself a lot of time is by freezing cookies and freezing dough. So first, look at my dog. Is she the cutest sitting back there? Her name's Ellie Mae. She sits in the chair like she's a person. Isn't that hilarious? So I always make, and if you've seen me live, you've heard me say this before. I make cookie dough once a month. And that just saves me so much time. And what I'll do is I will make multiple batches of cookie dough. I actually have two large mixers and one regular size mixer. And I use the regular size mixer. It's a KitchenAid. That's what I use to make my icing. And my two larger mixers, one's a Kenwood, and I don't remember, one's one I got off Amazon. I don't even remember the name of it. But anyway, they're large. So I make multiple batches of cookie dough once a month. And then I use very large Ziploc bags that I actually get in Lexington, Kentucky. I live right near Lexington, Kentucky. There is a shop where restaurants will go to buy supplies, but anybody can shop there. So you might have something like that in your town. And the bags are big. I mean, they're much larger than a regular Ziploc bag. So find the largest Ziploc bag that you can find. What I'll do is I'll make the cookie dough. I put it in the bag. I flatten it out with my rolling pin. I know that I know how much I can fit in a bag because I've been doing it for a while, and I'll flatten them out. And then I will put those bags in my freezer, and you can write the date that you put them. I would not leave frozen dough in the freezer probably for more than a month. That's just me. I have a deep freeze, and it's really, really handy. And I go through all that cookie dough in 1 month. So that is a super helpful thing. Then I'll take the cookie dough out the night before and I'll put it in the refrigerator. And then I'm ready to make cookies the next day. So that's a huge time saver. I also, in the bags that I use, the dough that fits in there, I usually can make 2 dozen cookies. And when I make orders, I have a 2 dozen minimum. And that's typically what people order. So that works out perfectly. So that's about freezing dough. Now let's talk about freezing cookies. So who's on here? You're quiet this morning, I guess because it's early, right? I usually do my lives at night, but I thought no one wants to watch me on a Friday night. We need to be out having fun. So I thought I would do it this morning. But say hi to me if you're on here so I don't feel all alone. But freezing cookies. Well, thank you, Facebook user. Who are you? I can't see your name, but I appreciate someone saying good morning to me. So cookies, I decorate both. Hey, Lola. Oh my gosh. Thank you for getting up so early. Oh my gosh. It's 6:35 in California. That is early, but thank you for hopping on. It looks like you have a lot of precious kids. So you're probably get up early so you can get stuff done. That's what I used to do. Thank you for joining me, everybody. First time watching. Thank you for watching. Do I have help? What kind of help, Robin? What kind of help are you oh, my dog. Yes. Is that what you're talking about? I do have help. See her, Ellie Mae. She's sitting in the chair. If you mean another kind of help, ask me. She's my coffee drinking buddy in the morning. So anyway, I will freeze cookies that are not iced, and I will also freeze cookies that are iced. So let's talk about the uniced cookies first. When I freeze cookies that are uniced, what I'll do is I will make a bunch of shapes that I know I'm most likely going to use. For instance, circles. I use circles all the time. So if I have extra dough that's left over after an order, and it's already been frozen, I don't want to refreeze it. So I will typically make some basic shapes like squares, circles, hexagons. I use those in a lot of orders. And I will freeze those. So the way that I do that is I bake the cookies, and then the most important step is you want to dry them on a drying rack, because if you try and stack your cookies while there's any moisture, hey, company has arrived. Okay, we'll come back later because you all can watch this on the replay. If there's any moisture on the bottom of the cookies and you try and stack them and freeze them, then when you take them out of the freezer, they're all going to be stuck together. And I learned that the hard way. So I take them out of the oven, I put them on drying racks. I'll put them on the drying rack for at least an hour or two to where they're very, very dry. There's no moisture on the bottom. If you let them dry on your parchment sheets, there will be a little bit of moisture on the bottom. And then I will stack them together. I will put them in a bag, in a Ziploc freezer bag, and I simply put those bags in the freezer. And I write the date on them, so I make sure that I use, the oldest bags first, right? The ones that I put in there first. They taste exactly the same as they do when you thaw them out as they do when you bake them. And so I'll get them out of the freezer. I will take them out of the Ziploc bag, and I will put them on parchment, or not parchment. I'll put them on a drying rack again. That way the moisture, does not get on the bottom of the cookie. I'll let them thaw out. It doesn't take too long. It usually takes about an hour in the temperature that we keep our kitchen, and then I'll decorate them. It's a really great way to use up extra dough. If someone asks you for a last minute order, you can do that. I do have a lot of times I'll put paper between my cookies in the freezer. Yes, that's a great idea. You can do that. You can put parchment paper, especially if you don't want to go through the process of putting them on the drying rack. You can put parchment paper in between the levels, and then you can put them in a airtight container like that and just put that in your freezer as well. I have an Eddy, so if you have an Eddy, I will always make, if I have extra doughs, I'll make extra circles. And that way, if someone contacts me last minute, because we all get those orders, then you can fulfill that order. If you have frozen round cookies, all you have to do is ice it. And that is a real, real great thing. Let's see what else. Okay, now let's talk about freezing iced cookies. If you are freezing iced cookies that are just white, I would definitely, you want to make sure that they are completely dry, 100% dry. I put them in a airtight container, and I put parchment paper in between them. If they're not completely dry, you want to dry them overnight, then the parchment paper will stick to the cookies and your cookies will be ruined. So don't try and freeze them the same day that you decorate them. Let them dry at least 12 hours before you try and do this. And so you can put them in an airtight container. You can put, bye Janie, have a good day. You can put them in between layers of parchment paper, put those in the freezer. And then the way that you thaw these out, and it's very important, is when you take the container out of the freezer, you do not open it up if the cookies are iced. You let the container sit out on the counter until they have thawed a couple of hours, because the condensation will build up on the outside of the container and not on the cookies. that is really important for ice cookies. Do not open that container until your cookies have completely thawed. That's how I do white ice cookies. Again, if you have an eddy, that's a great thing to do. Freeze white iced round cookies, and then you have them available if someone gives you a last minute order. And then how do you freeze, or how I freeze decorated cookies? Again, it's very, very important that the cookies are completely dry, at least 12 hours dry. And then I put them in individual bags, and you can either heat seal them, or you can, my heat sealer never worked, honestly, so I don't like it. I'm trying to see if I have a bag sitting here. I use the kind of bags that you can see, you pull the little tape off. I thought I had one here. I don't. You pull the tape off, and then you can seal the bag. That's what I use. I put them in individual bags, and then I will put those individual bags inside of a Ziploc bag, freezer bag, and then I will put that freezer bag inside of a hard-sided airtight container. And the best ones, the ones that I got that I absolutely love, I actually got from, what's that big, huge store? IKEA. I love those. But don't put those in the freezer in a plastic bag, because you'll drop something on them if you're like me, and then all that work will be for naught. So put them in individual bags, put that in a freezer bag, put that inside an airtight, hard-sided container, so that if something drops on it, you won't crush the cookies. Then when you need to use those cookies, you take them out of the freezer. You set them on your counter. You do not open the lid. That's the most important thing. Don't open it. Don't open it. And you let them come to room temperature. I usually allow at least 3 hours to be able to do that, or for them to be able to come to room temperature before I open the container. And here's why. All the condensation from all those frozen cookies coming to room temperature will come to the outside of the container, and it won't ruin your cookies. If you take your cookies out, the condensation can make your icing bleed. So just remember, do not open the container until your cookies are completely dry. I've never had a problem freezing cookies ever. This is how I've done it for years, never had any problems. The only time you will have a problem, or the only time I have had a problem, is if I have a cookie. Let me give you an example. So here is my Mrs. Claus cookie. Look, I messed her ear up right there. So we're not going to look at that. If I were to freeze this cookie, I would not draw on her facial features, because sometimes if you use an edible marker, it will bleed. So what I would do is I would freeze her without her makeup on, without her face. And then after she came to room temperature, using the method that I just described, once you know she's completely thaw, you don't want there to be any moisture, then I would draw on her facial features. I have had trouble with those running. If you use, I've had trouble with it running using a edible marker and paint. So edible paint. So I would not do that. But a cookie like, let's see, a cookie like this one would freeze beautifully. It would look identical when you took it out to how you put it in. The same thing with this cookie. Look, it's coming off. This is so old. I made it back in the summer. So the icing is so dry. But anyway, you could freeze this. It would be great. I just would not draw on his little mouth or his eyebrows until I took him out of the freezer. So, do y'all have any questions about freezing cookies or freezing cookie dough? No? Okay, good. Now, if you're watching this on the replay and you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll check them later today. And I'm happy to answer your questions. Now, let's talk about shipping cookies. That's because that's something that we do during the holidays as well. First of all, you need to check with your state to see if you are allowed to ship cookies. In the state of Kentucky, we are not allowed to ship cookies. So I've only shipped cookies to friends. I do not sell cookies and ship them because we're not allowed to in Kentucky. But if you are allowed to do that, or you just want to send some to your friends, I'll tell you the tips. Oh, good, Kathy. That's great. I'll tell you the tips that I used when I was shipping cookies. You want to make sure that cookies are completely dry, because you don't want to risk smushing any of the details. Also, you can always would pre-package my cookies. Like I said, you can also purchase bubble mailers, little individual bubble mailers on Amazon. I think they're still on Amazon. And from a lot of stores like UPS and FedEx, you can buy those little mailers and you can put the cookies in little individual bubble mailers. And that is a game changer because it just protects the cookies. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can pack your cookies. You want to make sure that there is bubble wrap everywhere. If I really like to put my cookies on the side, so for instance, if I were shipping these 2 cookies, but a lot of them, you could put them in bubble mailers and you could put them on top of each other with a thing of bubble wrap in between. But what's better is to stack them sideways like this, because then there's not weight on the top. So I would stack them like this right next to each other in the bubble mailers in your box. If you need to, hold on. If you need to do a second layer, then I make sure that I use the larger bubble wrap in between the layers so that there's really good cushioning. You also want to make sure that you put bubble wrap on the bottom of your box. Bubble wrap is your friend when you're shipping cookies. But what's very, very important also is you do not want any movement in your box. So you can use extra bubble wrap, you can use paper towels, you can use wrapping paper, anything to where if you were to move that box, those cookies are not moving at all. If you have any movement in the box, your cookies will break. They cannot move. Next, you want to take the box that you have your cookies in and don't use a bakery box. Use a more substantial box, like a cardboard box. Bakery boxes just are not strong enough. You can include a bakery box in your package that you ship if you want to, if the customer really wants to put them in a box, but I don't think that that's necessary. So you take your box that you have cookies and you put that inside a larger box. And then you make sure that there is padding in between those 2 boxes. And what I would always use was the brown paper that you can get at the UPS store or the FedEx store, the thick brown paper, and then you can ship it. Now, if you're thinking, Lauren, I don't want to do all this, then you can take it to your local, at least I could when I mailed cookies a couple times. I just took it to my store, my FedEx store, and I said, I need you to pack these cookies so that they won't break. And they were excellent. It costs you more to do that, but they're the experts, so you can always do that. Shipping cookies is very expensive. The last time I shipped cookies, which was several years ago, I think I shipped 2 dozen and it costs $25. It's really expensive. So make sure that you check out your shipping cost and let your customer know that, what they're going to pay for the shipping before you offer. Because if you charge them $5 for shipping, it's going to cost you way more than that. If you think you might ship cookies, if you're allowed to do that in your state, or you want to ship them to friends, then save your small Amazon boxes because they're usually good and sturdy and heavy. So does anybody have a question about shipping cookies? Good. So if you like well, let me ask you all this. Did anybody watch me on the Christmas cookie challenge last night again? That was pretty exciting. It was the rerun. And if you missed it and you still want to watch it, you can watch it. It's called Christmas Now and Then. It's a season 6. And sometimes it's episode 6, sometimes it's episode 7. It depends on the platform. Isn't that crazy? But it's called Christmas Then and Now, or Christmas Now and Then. So, oh, Lola, that's awesome. That was a fun experience. But the recipes that I use on the Christmas Cookie Challenge, I sell on my website, which is, look how cool that is, cheerfulcutters.com. But I have a special now through the end of November. And can you believe that it's getting close to the end of November? If you purchase my Cheerful Box subscription, and I'll show you what that is here in a minute, then you are going to get those recipes as a Christmas gift from me. So here is what the Cheerful Box is. It is a cookie decorating subscription. And if you become a subscriber, you will get the recipes: lemon curd pecan cheesecake, chocolate covered strawberry, and gingerbread cookie. Here are the cookies that you'll make with the cookie cutters that you get in the box. The Cheerful Box has 6 large cookie cutters, which you see right here, and 3 mini cookie cutters. It has a stencil, which is the snowflake, and it has a step-by-step tutorial on how to decorate all of the cookies that you see in the box. And I used to teach kindergarten and I used to teach elementary art. So I break it down really simply. And then the recipes that you get this month are chocolate covered strawberry, gingerbread, and lemon curd pecan cheesecake, which you can absolutely use. All these recipes you can just eat on their own, or you can ice them. Here's some more pictures of the cookies that you can make with the box. And here's me. And here's when I was on the Food Network. So again, you get those in November as a subscriber. You can also purchase it as a one-time purchase in case you just want to try it out, or you want to get it as a gift. And just a secret between you and me, you get the recipes even if you just get the one-time box. We don't normally do the one-time box, but we are doing it because I think it makes a great Christmas gift. Hey, Charlotte, that reminds me to tell you all, if you have a 3D printer, we also have, I always forget to tell people that. I don't know why. We also have a STL box. And so let me show you. It's a digital box. You get the exact same thing, but you get all the cookie cutters, but and the class, but you just print it yourself with your 3D printer. So again, you go to cheerfulcutters.com. I hope that this was helpful for you all to talk about how to freeze cookies and cookie dough. Thank you, Karen. Hey, Angie. Thank you all so much for watching this morning. I know it's early, and I usually do these at night, like I said, but we gotta have fun on a Friday night. So I figured I'd better do this morning. Kathy, yes, it will arrive. So if you order a box today, it will either ship. We ship within 2 to 3 days. So your box would probably go out on Monday, possibly tomorrow. So thank you all for watching again. I appreciate every one of you. And I know, Angie, it normally is 6:30 p.m. I normally do it at night, but I thought since it's Friday, we all need to do fun things on Friday night and just not listen to me. So let's see if there's any more questions, and make sure that I said hi to everybody. Did I say hi to everybody? Lola said you taped it and you're going to watch it today. You're going to DVR it. I watched it last night and you were great, says Karen. Thank you. Being on the Food Network was such a thrill. I mean, I still can't believe, like, I was laying on the couch last night. Hey, Ruth. I was laying on the couch watching it on the TV, and I have a hard time believing that that's me. When I watch it, I feel like I'm watching somebody else, a twin, because I still can't believe I had the opportunity to do that. What are y'all doing today? Any exciting things going on today? Who's making cookies today? What kind of fun cookies are you making? Hey, Tracy, you just woke up. I know I'm on early today. Kathy says I'd freak out if you were on the food. You know, you think you would, but you probably wouldn't because it's so fast. Hey, Deborah, it's so fast. It goes by so fast. You don't really have time to freak out. I am going to go exercise because I'm trying to do that. Oh, you're taking care of a sick grandbaby. That's no fun. You're making tons of dough today, Tracy. Excellent. Make sure that you watch the beginning of this video and you can get my tips for freezing it. But I think you already know that because I've talked about that before. Angie, you're cleaning out your Thanksgiving cleaning. All my Thanksgiving cookies are done. Working on Christmas cookies. That's good, Angie. You're ahead of time. Okay, well, I better go. I'm going to exercise. I'm trying to do that more often because I'm getting old. You know, I mean, I'm not that old, but my kids are young and I'm older, and I want to make sure that I can play with my grandchildren, 10 years down the road. So you all have a great day and a great weekend too. And just to let you know, if you have been listening to my podcast, I took a little podcast break, but I'm coming back. I'm realizing I'm very thankful that my business is going so well. I'm so thankful and I appreciate all of you. But sometimes I don't have time to do everything. And the podcast, I honestly just have not had time the last couple weeks. So I'm going to start it up again. I loved doing it. I just need to figure out how I can work that into my day because I love it so much. So don't give up on me. It'll come back. But you can still go to Sugar Coated Dreams on Apple Podcasts, and you can watch it on the replay. And there's great episodes on there. And then I'm getting ready to have one with Chewa cookies. So that'll be really fun to listen to. So anyway, y'all have a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye.